let's tap into the training camp mind of Judd Zulgad here. So maybe some bonus notes mixed in here to the Viking statements portion of the Monday Mackey and Judd show. If you missed our deep dive into either the center competition, we did that on Sunday's Purple Daily episode, or the current state of the quarterbacks at Camp KOC through 2 weeks of camp. That's the Monday episode of Purple Daily. Check those out. But I would like to start you guys off with something that I think I'm actually kind of surprised it took this long for a public appearance. But my first statement is Mike Zimmer is alive. Mike Zimmer was spotted at Cincinnati Bengals camp yesterday. I'm sure it's a pretty short drive from his ranch in Kentucky. I think they actually might train in Kentucky, technically, the Cincinnati Bengals. I think I saw that. So he showed up. He was hanging around at practice, just hanging out on the sidelines and yucking it up with certain people. I think that's the first official public appearance. Like, I'm sure people have spotted him at restaurants and stuff, or like an airport here and there, but I think that's the first time Mike Zimmer has shown his face in public since January.
No, I think you're right. And his son got a job as an offensive consultant of some sort with the Bengals. So he's now, I don't get that, but that's cool. Yeah. And I mean, Mike publicly talked.
Good for him.
Like, he's texting folks still. To this day, he's texting them. He's threatening to talk, but then he wakes up in the morning and he says, I'm not going to talk yet, and I'm not comfortable to talk. Here's my question. What does he want to do? Like, if he clearly wants to get back into coaching, I get it. Like, to try and be, which I don't know that he would get a job, but if he wants to be a head coach again, I get the silence. But if he doesn't, just come out, pick your favorite person and talk to him.
I think regardless of whether he wants to be a head coach again, certainly if he wants to be a head coach again, but even if he wants to be a coordinator, and he probably still has 5 more years left of coaching in some capacities, mid-60s, doesn't he have to break the silence and defend himself? Some of the stuff is probably indefensible and that there's some learning experiences that he just needs to go through from the last couple of years. But there's also a lot of things out there that they're just painting him. It's like this one-sided barrage for 8 months, painting him as this terrorist head coach. Mm-hmm. I would think that defending yourself would be the natural, prudent thing to do at some point.
I think the PR side of him, I think it's the right move to stay quiet for a year. Like, really, what is the benefit? Because he's going to have to open up those demons again and have to deal with it. I think actually it's beneficial for him to kind of stay silent and let this really settle in before he wants to bring something up later on. I don't think it's necessary he has to get out in front of it right now.
But he's allowing himself to be disparaged continually by everyone. And at some point in time, I mean, you don't have to air it all out, but I feel like you do have to be like, hold on a second here. We did a lot of good things there. I mean, if nothing else, put a positive spin. I think he's afraid he'll say the truth. But we want the truth on this show, so we can talk about it and dissect it.
You know what he could do? Here's what I would do if I were him. And I'm saying this through the prism of Mike Zimmer does not like Kirk Cousins, right? I think that's
correct.
I think that's a thing. So if I were him, I would come out, whether it's in an article, Tom Pelissero, Peter King, or if I had a microphone in my face or something, and I would say, listen, super proud of our 8 years in Minnesota. We won some divisions. We went to the doorstep of a Super Bowl, had the number 1 defense in the NFL in 2017. Mm-hmm. And specifically, if you look at the first 4 years of what we accomplished between 2014 and 17, something to be very proud of. Things went a little sideways the last 4 years. Wink.
Yeah. Right.
But if you really look at the first 4 years, wink, wink. Right. Really proud of some of the things that we accomplished. Looking forward to my next opportunity in coaching, whenever that may be.
Yep.
I mean, there's ways to kind of go about it, right?
I also don't think, unless it's someone that wants to take a chance of sorts, I also don't think he will be a head coach again. Yeah. Based on those last 4 years with Kirk, I don't think you can afford that, because this is a league now where if you don't embrace your QB, and beyond Teddy, I don't think Mike ever embraced one.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, coordinator, absolutely, he could be a good one.
But here, even from like a coordinator standpoint, I think one of the narratives that I will defend him on, he is being painted as a guy that lost his touch defensively because of how bad they were in the 2-minute drill last year, and some of this stuff is definitely like, yeah, dude, you got to be better as a coach. But Danielle Hunter is one of the best defensive players in the NFL. Did not play in 2020. Coincidence that the defense took a huge step back? Probably not. Mm-hmm. The first 7 weeks, the first 7 games of 2021, we went through these stats early last week on Purple Daily. Mm-hmm. The Vikings had measurably one of the top 7 to 9 defenses in the NFL. In terms of pass defense, they were like top 3 in EPA allowed. They were number 1 in pressure rate.
Yep.
And then you took Danielle Hunter off the field for the rest of the season, and then predictably the defense collapses. So I guess what you could say is, hey, if Mike Zimmer doesn't have a great defensive lineman and pass rusher, his defense crumbles. Well, you could say that about pretty much, show me a defensive coordinator or a defensive-minded head coach that if you took away and put a bunch of backups along the defensive line, that they're going to have anything but a bottom 5 or 10 defense. So he almost needs to come out and say, listen, I have some learning to do, but I firmly believe that if given our health and Danielle Hunter, we still had one of the 10 best defenses in the NFL while you guys were calling me out for losing my fastball.
Yes, and I think his best play would be don't address the Kirk thing much, because like I don't think at this point in time, especially since Kirk does not talk, I don't think there's a lot of good that can come from that. But you've got to put a lot of this back on Rick's plate, on Spielman. I mean, his drafting wasn't great. And he'll say, well, Zim won a defense, and I did that. But it's like, okay, but you still made some bad mistakes here, Rick. So, yeah, I think that instead of Mike's PR people or friends saying don't talk, they should say, this is how we need to shape this, and we're going to sit down with Peter King. That's not going to kill him.
Yeah. Does Mike have like a PR person?
I just got hit,
or just
guys.
Like his friends?
I think it's his friends. I just got hit by a bolt of reckless speculation lightning that just knocked me backwards as Phil was talking.
Reckless speculation.
Oh my God. I need a nap after this because it hit me so hard. Mike Zimmer, 2023, defensive coordinator for Sean Payton's Dallas Cowboys.
Absolutely.
Because Dan Quinn is going to get a job probably. Now Dan Quinn signed an extension, but I think if the right team comes to Quinn, and Jerry's not, I don't think he's going to squat on Dan Quinn, and I don't think he can for a head coaching job. But Payton and Zim have a weird relationship because they're friends, but they've had some bumps for sure. But you know what? Both guys are the type of no BS, I think we want to win, let's go chew some tobacco and kick some ass guys. And I think that there's a very good chance that Sean Payton gets the Cowboys coaching job and that he brings along Mike as his DC.
I could see it.
With Jerry. Jerry loves both those guys.
Yeah, I could see it. Makes sense.
It's definitely more likely Quinn gets that job. I mean, I'm still on Team Kellen Moore, but it definitely seems like if Jerry had to make a decision, he'd probably lean towards Dan Quinn. But Sean Payton makes things a little bit more complicated. Like I would definitely, if I was running a franchise, I would definitely look at Sean Payton before I would give my number one choice to Sean Payton before it'd be Dan Quinn.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love it.
Offensive guy, Mike's your defensive guy, Jerry. Oh boy, I could see this.
It makes some sense. Yes, this reckless speculation presented by our friends at Nutrisource, the official dog food of Mackey and Judd. So we've showed you some video of Maya Mackey very excitedly enjoying her Nutrisource. This is Stella Zolgad here,
That's
sitting
right.
next to some Nutrisource treats. Look at how happy she looks.
Oh, she loves them. She loves them. When I shake that bag, I'm going to tell you right now, she's like, oh my God, it's time. It's time. It's time. Between that and her breakfast of the chicken and rice recipe, Stella, very happy these days. Very content. Look at that. Look at that little face.
That's the face of a dog that's regular, because Nutrisource dog food is all about digestion and gut health. With their good for life system, gets your dog the nutrients he or she needs, or they, for those Tootsie Roll poops that we all come to expect with Nutrisource food. Go to NutrisourcePetFoods.com to find a retailer near you. NutrisourcePetFoods.com. Also, a shout out to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company, helping to power each and every day of Mackey and Judd and Purple Daily, and helping to power businesses through risk management tools and resources. Federated has over 100 years of experience in helping business owners maximize their level of success. You can find a full list of industries Federated protects at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, Viking statements. That was kind of an unofficial statement from Judd there.
Yeah. Dex?
I'll go next. Yep, I'll go next. My statement would be, and I'm going to actually talk about this with my guy, Realistic Randy, on a whole list of topics, but I'll just do one of them here. What's the panic meter here? Not to be the classic Zolgad here, but what's the panic meter that we are putting on the Vikings center position? So if it's an open competition right now, so Garrett Bradbury might be getting the benefit of the doubt, at least to start the training camp, but now Chris Reed could potentially do it. There was hints at a closed door practice, maybe it was someone else. If the Vikings legitimately don't have a viable starting center going into week 1 in a season where their offense is supposed to pop, they have a new defensive system coming in, a rookie head coach. It's more of a question and a statement to both of you guys. What is the panic meter for the Vikings season if their center position is completely up in the air right now?
I think right now it's at a DEFCON 3. I also think that the word competition was thrown out by O'Connell on purpose, where I don't think it exists right now. I think there's a competition for the backup job. I think they're doing everything that they can to incentivize Bradbury to understand this is not his job, while making it very clear in practice this is his job. I also think that they're probably starting to realize that they miscalculated what they could do. And O'Connell said again, when asked extensively about Bradbury on Saturday, he basically alluded to again trying to sort of scheme around Bradbury's deficiencies in the pass game. And as we've all said, I don't see how you can do that. So I would say it's at a 3 and rising. And I also think that if the Vikings right now, if you were to say what key position that they have, would they make a trade at here fairly soon? I think it is center 1, 2, and 3.
Well, I mean, let me be optimistic here for a second. Let's say Garrett Bradbury is the starting center and he's just the same guy that we've seen for the last couple years. Well, the Vikings were still, despite that, and despite an kind of antiquated offensive scheme setup last year, the 14th highest scoring offense in the NFL. So despite Bradbury and despite Oli Udoh, who's not going to be back at right guard, right? And despite the Clint Kubiak scheme and Mike Zimmer ignoring offense, they were still the 14th highest scoring offense. So keeping Bradbury, not ideal. I do not recommend it. But all the other things around him being better, the scheme being better, the right guard being better, Kevin O'Connell more immersed in offensive strategy, they should take a step forward from 14th in points to something higher, 12th, 10th, even if they have a crappy center. But if you want to maximize what you're trying to do here, yeah, you got to do something. And I'm not ruling out Chris Reed yet. I think the snaps are a little bit concerning, but it's early in camp still. We haven't even come close to a preseason game yet. And so if he can get the snaps under control, which he has a month to do so, it's not going to happen overnight. I'm curious to see what he looks like as the starting center. So we'll see.
And again, DEFCON 3, as we've discussed, I love our DEFCON levels. We might have to mix this into like Mackey and Judd Staple. But a DEFCON 3 is increased in-force readiness above that required for normal readiness, and the Air Force is ready to mobilize in 15 minutes. So the Air Force is ready to mobilize over the offensive line.
They're ready to rock. Yep. They haven't taken off yet, but they're on alert. They're watching. Yeah.
You know, gotta be Maverick watching. Maverick and Iceman, everyone else, they're ready to be in the planes if they have to come out there. They're ready to go.
Yep. Okay. Here's one for, I don't know if you guys saw this from our friend Kevin Seifert at ESPN.com, but my statement is Vikings cornerbacks are going to have to be a little less handsy this season. So, some news this morning from Seifert. The NFL has asked officials to pay particular attention to illegal contact fouls in 2022.
Here we go.
There was a big drop in them in 2021. In fact, I think the top team had like 3 illegal contact penalties called. The Vikings had 1. But I'll get to a point in a second here. This is classified as a point of clarification, which was formerly known as a point of emphasis.
He told me about this. It's hilarious.
So they used to say, hey, we need to be more fixated on holding. Let's make it a point of emphasis.
And people hated that word.
Well, you're emphasizing? It means are you calling more?
Right.
And the NFL said, well, okay, let's call it a point of clarification. And Kevin says, so there may be more of these called, but we're not really sure. So, yeah, there weren't that many illegal contact penalties called last year. But if we want to look at the handsiest defenses, let's look at defensive holding and pass interference, where the Vikings ranked among the most penalized secondaries in the league last year. They had 25 combined holding or pass interference, defensive holding or pass interference calls. Now, I think, I'm going to get a little football-y on you guys here real quick, all right?
Football.
I think changing over to more of a zone scheme in the secondary could help with this problem. If you look at the Broncos last year and that, Ed Donatel influenced Vic Fangio system, the Broncos had half as many defensive holding and pass interference calls, probably because they're not operating one-on-one on an island. Oh my God, I'm going to get burned. Grab a jersey, right? My guess is if you were to look around, the secondaries that play more zone are probably penalized less for holding and grabbing and pass interference. So, no, maybe the scheme will help with this problem.
Well, and plus...
Point of clarification.
I love that term now. We're clarifying it, so you can't be mad. We're not emphasizing it. With Zim, this would have been like a major problem, right? He'd be ticked off. He'd be like, oh, they're trying to screw me again. This is why I think it is becoming more and more difficult to have a defensive head coach. Because this league every year, and I don't blame them, offense is fun, but every year they put in something to help the offense. And O'Connell is probably dancing about this. He's probably like, yes, because for every flag against us, there's going to be Thielen and Osborne and Jefferson, right? So the good thing about an offensive coach is he's going to look at this rule change and be like, how do I exploit it? A defensive coach says, what are they doing to me?
Yes. Yep, this all aligns very well for KOC in the NFL.
Something special is brewing. That's my statement. Something special is brewing. Saturday's practice, which was, I wouldn't say it was at full speed, but they worked on a lot of things. And this is a no-duh statement, but I want to emphasize what I feel is coming because it's special. Justin Jefferson is catching everything. Justin Jefferson is easily one of, if not just flat out, and he's probably flat out, the best player in this camp. Justin Jefferson's first 2 years were fantastic. But when we talk about him being Cooper Kupp, blah, 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 I mean, that all sounds great, right? But what I am seeing, and everyone else is doing pretty well and working hard. But you know special when you see special. I don't care if it's practice. I don't care what it's in. This kid is special. And this is going to be, I think he is on the precipice of a huge season. A huge season.
Yeah, I love that he has kind of shown up and decided, all right, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, but kind of pisses me off that I'm not highly regarded. That like people think Jamar Chase is better than me, and I'll pay my homage and respect to Devontae Adams and whatever, but I think he wants to show, and he's very mature about it, and he's cool, calm, collected, but I think he wants to show people in 1 year from now, I am the guy in the NFL. I'm the best receiver. I'm the captain now.
Yep. And he does things in practice that are not normal. Like he makes plays in practice. You sometimes forget when he makes certain plays that he is going against professional athletes himself.
Love it.
So I'm just saying.
Optimistic Judd making an appearance.
You know special when you see it. And this is special. This isn't good. This isn't, oh, he might be great. This is, no, he is going into a prime portion of a special career that we as fans and in our jobs need to appreciate.
Actually, it's a good transition because my next Viking statement is, I'm all good on that. So there was, and this is just a rumor bot tweet that was floated around yesterday, but they said, don't sleep on Odell Beckham coming to the Vikings because of his history with Kevin O'Connell, because of he's still a free agent. But you know what? I'm good on Odell. I don't think this Vikings team necessarily needs Odell Beckham Jr. I think KJ has taken the next step. And I don't need to add any more, not necessarily unnecessary drama, because I think Odell Beckham Jr. has cleaned some of that stuff up, but it's not needed. When I look at the Vikings team right now, I'm not looking at, what if we got Odell Beckham Jr. Would that take, I just had a question to you guys about the panic meter on the center. I'm more worried about that. I'm more worried about if Kirk Cousins goes down, who the hell the backup quarterback is. It's probably just a rumor. It's probably just a bot tweet, classic one, but I saw it floating around Twitter and I saw it on Reddit. I'm good on Odell Beckham Jr.
Okay. On one hand, I think if he wasn't coming off a knee injury, I would say, dude, if he can be your number 2 receiver and Thielen bumps to 3 and KJ Osborne just kind of sneaks in at number 4, I mean, wow, that's one of the best trios of receivers plus KJ Osborne that the league has maybe ever seen. The knee injury makes me nervous, the timing of it, him kind of trying to rush a comeback here to get back for the regular season. The thing I would be most worried about is the Odell Beckham Jr. Kirk Cousins vibe. The two most polar opposite people and personalities in the NFL having to coexist within this offensive ecosystem. I think it would be a train wreck.
Yep. And Odell wants the football. Odell wants football, and that football needs to go to 18, first and second, probably 19 third, and 17 after that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want anybody who wants the football like, I'm the best here. No, dude, you're not. Like, so if Beckham knew his role in life right now, I think it might work. But the problem is, I don't think he does.
I mean, he yielded fine to Cooper Kupp last year. Now he was traded midseason and kind of got as a slid into something that was on the fly. But I mean, he very, very obviously was not the number one receiver with the Rams, and
I don't
made it work just fine.
I'm with Dex. I don't want to tempt fate here.
Yeah, there's some other things that
camp feels good. Camp feels free, refreshing. Let's keep it that way.
Any other final Viking statements from you guys here?
I got one more. Okay. Don't sleep on Kane. So Kane Wong will return from I believe, leg injury on, would it have been Friday or Saturday? And it's very clear, it was very clear quickly that the depth chart is Cook 1, Madison 2, Kane 3. And so, health provided, I think this guy is definitely going to have some packages designed that use his speed. I thought that there might be a little bit of a competition between him and Chandler. I don't think that now. I think that there is a feeling that the previous staff, and this is exactly correct, took what is a really fast special player. He's not a full-time guy, but he's got a set of special skills, and he can use those skills in offensive packages that could definitely wreak havoc on the defense. So don't sleep on what he might bring outside of his kickoff returns on special teams.
Love it. Yeah, he's going to be just kind of a fun little wild card to watch play out here, and we'll probably get some preseason runs. So, all right, there you go. Dex, you have one more real quick?
Question to Judd. Do you know why Jason Garrett was at Vikings camp over the weekend? Did you see that?
Yep. I saw him there. Very nice guy. Very nice. I have no idea how he coached because he's too nice a guy. He was there on Saturday along with Peter King doing NBC stuff. And I guess I was told Garrett did a really good job during the weather delay during the Hall of Fame game on Thursday, that they had to fill a ton of time, and that Dungy and Garrett started telling stories and stuff, and it was really good. So perhaps he's always struck me as milquetoast, but perhaps he's got a future just as far as the booth goes. But yeah, he was there because of his involvement with NBC and Pro Football Talk with him and Peter King.
I hope he's good. Sometimes you never know who's going to be a star and a dud. Like, I would have thought Drew Brees was going to be a media star. Total dud.
Oh, yep. Stunk.
But then Joe Montana. Joe Montana.
Emmett
Smith, total dud.
Yeah, you're right.
But then some other guys like Dan Orlovsky has wildly outperformed what you ever would have thought he would be as a media guy. He's entertaining. He's informative. So, all right, there you go. Viking Statements Monday on Mackey and Judd here. If you want daily deep dives into training camp and Judd's notes, check out Purple Daily if you aren't already doing so. And if you could click subscribe on the Score North and Purple Daily YouTube channels, you can help spread the word about this Minnesota sports fan community we are building across Mackey and Judd and Purple Daily. We will see you guys tomorrow on Mackey and Judd.